Sometimes, no matter how carefully organised and planned we are, things will go wrong. It's an inevitability of life. And there is a wonderful expression beginning with a word that starts with SH, following word happens. It does. It just happens. And there's not a great deal we can do about it because that's just life hitting us in the face. But that doesn't mean that our systems are failing. It doesn't mean that how we organise our stuff is wrong. It just means that things have got a little bit out of control. And when that happens, what can you do that's going to bring everything back to a baseline? Today, I'm going to show you how you can do that. Well, first up is get back to the basics of COD. Now, COD stands for collect, organise and do. Now, what you're doing is you're collecting everything that's coming at you into a trusted place. Now, that could be a notebook and pen. It could be an application such as Todoist, Trello, Things 3, TickTick, whatever, Apple Reminders, Microsoft To Do. There's a ton of those task managers around. And then the third thing is you need to organize. Second thing, you need to organize that stuff that you collected. Now, a lot of people overthink this process. Organizing is just simply a 5 to 10 minutes at the end of your work day where you sit down, look at what you've collected, and then organize based on when you are going to do whatever it is you collected. So essentially, if your boss says, can you send me a copy of the presentation that you're doing next week by the end of this week? Fine, that gets thrown into your inbox, and at the end of the day, you see, yes, I need to send my boss a copy of this presentation on Friday, so I'm going to make sure that this task is popping up in my daily to-do list on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how big the presentation document is going to be. And that's really all it is when it comes to organising. Now, the critical thing about organising, though, is not so much about what you have to do. We all have a lot of stuff to do. It's more about when you are going to do it. And this is one of the reasons why I advocate the time sector system, because it doesn't matter how much you've got to do if you don't have the time to do it. So the most important aspect of when you're organizing your stuff is deciding when you are going to do it. Now, there's a whole lot of mechanisms that you can use, such as time blocking, such as being able to protect time in the morning, say between 9:30 and 11:30 for doing your deep work. There's a ton of stuff, and I don't necessarily need to go into that today. I will in future videos. And finally, the aspect of COD is to just get on and do the work. And you can only do one thing at a time. So you do start with whatever category of work that you decide to do. Maybe it's that presentation. Maybe you need to, my emails are out of control. I need to spend an hour on that today. Great. Just make sure you protect the time and spend an hour on it. Just start at the top and work your way down. Just keep things simple, and remember, you can only do one thing at a time. So trying to do multiple things and saying yes to everything, you are kind of causing yourself a lot of trouble. Now, before I move on any further, now the date that this video is going out, there is only 3 or 4 days left before my ultimate productivity workshop. Now, this is an opportunity for you to get all these aspects put together in one convenient workshop. Plus, as the workshop is live, you get a chance to ask me questions, anything you like, during the workshop. It's a fantastic workshop. It's helped hundreds, if not thousands of people already. And there is still time for you to register to the workshop. So just check out the details. I'll put them in the show notes below and you can check that out. Now, what about once you've got the COD system set up? What do you do next? Well, if you've collected everything and you've given yourself that 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day to organize what you collected and decided when you are going to do it, there really is only two steps left, which is the daily and weekly planning. These are critical if you want to stay on top of what is truly important. Now, the daily planning is the task level stuff. This is where you're looking at your daily appointments, the appointments for the day, and you're then deciding how much else you can do on top of that, allowing some time for buffer in case things overrun or an emergency happens. Now, these are fairly straightforward. It's just 5 to 10 minutes. Again, avoid overthinking this, because all you're doing is, where are my appointments for today and what time do I have available to do my task? Now, if you've got 6 hours or 7 hours of meetings, you're not going to get a lot of tasks done. Equally, if you've only got one meeting, you could actually have a day of tasks and you say, right, I'm going to catch up with all this stuff I am behind. Now, let's be honest, most people are behind with their work. And it's not any fault of us, it's just the volume of work that's coming at us. Really, it's about keeping your head calm, not panicking about this, and just getting on with, as I say, one thing at a time, but maximizing that time that you do have available by staying focused on what it is you want to do. And now the weekly planning, which is kind of the glue that brings it all together. The weekly planning, the bane of most people because they think it's going to take them 3 or 4 hours to do. Well, it does if you're following David Allen's Getting Things Done methodology for weekly review, but that is actually different from weekly planning. Weekly review by the very nature of its meaning is you're looking backwards. You're looking at what you have done, trying to remember all the things you're committed to, and it can take 3 to 4 hours in some cases. Now, if you enjoy doing a full weekly review every week, that's absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But always keep in mind that that's a review, not really a plan. Weekly planning is about setting objectives for the week. What are your objectives? Now, I see a lot of people trying to plan out tasks when they do their weekly planning. Well, that's going to be a game of guessing, because you don't know what's necessarily going to happen on Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon. Things change. New things come in. It's practically impossible to be able to predict what's going to come at you once the week begins. Weekly planning is about setting objectives for the week. So, for example, I'm going to exercise a minimum of 4 times this week, or I really am going to push this particular project forward because the deadline is coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's setting an objective. So I'm going to work on this project. I'm going to exercise a minimum of 4 times this week. That's what we're doing at the weekly planning level. We're not going down into the weeds, the tasks. That's the daily planning. What you're essentially doing at a weekly plan is setting objectives. Now, if you want to do a weekly review, if you want to go back through the week and look at what you've done, absolutely fine, no problem at all. But remember, that's reviewing, not planning. Planning is about looking ahead. It's about deciding what your objectives are for that week. Often I will only have 3 or 4 objectives, but they're big, meaty objectives that I want to get myself focused on for the week. So given that, as this video is going out this week and I've got a workshop to do on Sunday night, my time, then of course my focus, my objective this week is to make sure that that workshop is ready to go live on my time, Sunday night. It's entirely up to you what your objectives are, but you don't want to be overthinking any of this. This is about focusing on just the objectives. This is what I want to get done this week. This is what projects I want to work on. And that's it. Now, as long as you've got that written down, and you can then go into your task manager and sort of make some tasks, say work on project X, or in your calendar, schedule out your exercise for that week, you're doing fine. That is a weekly plan. You are ready to go. So I just wanted to cover this because I know so many people, they think just because they've got behind, everything is broken. You know, it doesn't mean that you need to go and get new tools just because things have broken. It just means there's been a large wave of work coming in that has kind of like bloated your system. All you have to do is focus on the basics. And the basics are collect everything that might matter, spend 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each work day to organize what you've done, and that's where the time sector system comes in, where you're deciding when you're going to do it this week, this month, next month, etc. And then at the daily level, every day, whether it's the evening before, which is my preferred time, I plan the day the night before, or you prefer to do it in the morning, it doesn't really matter, but what it does is it gives you a chance to look at the landscape of the day and say, right, given that I've got 3 hours of meetings today, I will make sure that before this meeting starts, I'm going to spend an hour working on this project. Part of your objectives, which you will have set when you do the daily planning. So really, if you look at the whole thing, the key is to keep things simple. Don't overthink things. What really matters is what am I going to do today? And that's why the daily planning is such an important part of a productivity system. Hope you found this useful. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how I plan my week, then this video up here is the one to watch next.